Hi guys, today's review is on the Rimmel Stay Matte Foundation. To me, this seems like a mousse foundation that's been put into a tube, basically. A little bit thick, but yet still somewhat lightweight. But this foundation definitely has an emphasis on shine control. And I'm really at a place with my skin right now where it's definitely combination. I have some areas where I'll tend to get oily. I definitely see it like as the day rolls on, around my nose, my forehead maybe. But then I've had other places that have been drier than I've ever experienced my skin being. Around my chin, mouth, even a little bit like bottom part of my nose, strangely between my eyebrows, like just randomly very dry. After using this on and off for at least a couple months now, I have definitely settled on some ways to make this foundation work for my combination oily and dry skin. And it pertains to what I do before I put the foundation on as well as after. However, I will say that when my skin is very dry, I don't love the way this looks on top of it. I feel like it can be very visible. It will tend to cling to areas where you have uneven texture, like maybe a little bit of that dry flakiness that's really hard to just get rid of it, you know? This can kind of make those areas a little more apparent on the skin. So kind of a red flag there for people who consider themselves to be the driest of the dry. I don't really think this is worth your time if you're in that category. But if you're oily or even combo and you want a matte finish and really full coverage, I think this is undoubtedly a full coverage foundation. Estee Lauder Double Wear definitely changed my definition of full coverage once I tried that. I'm like, oh, that's what full coverage is. So with that in my mind, to consider this to be full coverage as well, I think is saying something. Staying power with this has been really good for me. There hasn't been a big change in the appearance on my skin, and really paying attention to my nose and my forehead. Those will be areas where even if I'm dry elsewhere, I can tend to see those areas attack my foundation. And things seem to go along really well with this stuff. So because I really like the matte finish and I really like the coverage, I really wanted to make this work for me. Here's what I do. I make sure I moisturize well beforehand. I might use a moisturizer that's a little more rich than something I might normally reach for. And then I also reach for my hydrating primer, my IT Cosmetics Feel the Moment Primer Serum. So then the foundation goes on. I kind of patch it all over my skin, and I try not to use too much. I was making a mistake early on with this when I first got it of using too much foundation, and it was looking just like too much on my skin. I could see the product a lot. So I try to go with a small amount, not add any more than like the little bit that I initially squeeze out on my finger. Really try to spread that around, and then I used one of my Sigmax synthetic brushes to buff that in. It blends in super easily. No complaints on application. And then the result from that is a really matte finish. I think you can tell the difference before and after. You know, the coverage made a huge difference. It affects my concealer habits as well. You know, I may go on my under eye area with a little bit of a brightener, but I don't feel like I'm doing anything major for coverage of dark circles because this did some work for that. Also, I would normally conceal a little bit of redness that I have around my nose. When I use this foundation, I don't have to go in with anything extra there, so I appreciate that. But then on top of the foundation, there are some things I want to make sure I do to get a fresh finish. You know, I like that it's matte, I like that it's, you know, full coverage, good staying power, all that, but I still want my skin to look like it's got some life in there, right? So I generally use a little bit more glowy blush when I'm wearing this. For example, today I'm wearing the Too Faced Sweethearts blush in Peach Beach, and it's got a lot of glow in it. I used mainly like this bottom part as my blush, and then I went in with the top part kind of like a highlight. And then I set the whole look with a couple of spritzes of my Dewy Finish setting spray. And there, I feel like I'm still taking advantage of the full coverage nature of this foundation, but I'm able to put the glow where I want it. Bottom line, if you're looking for something really matte and really full coverage from the drugstore and you're oily or combo oily skin, I think this could work really well. If you're really just driest of the dry, I wouldn't waste your time on it because I think you're just going to notice a heavier look on your skin with this product. Rimmel also makes another fabulous foundation called Lasting Finish. It's a little less dry in texture than this. My mom, who's in her 60s, has really enjoyed that foundation. It's a really flawless look, but just not as matte, so that might be something to look into. It's also priced really affordably. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye.